did okay. Alright. Oh. We're the next Sugar Man. Searching for Sugar Man. TBG version of that story soon enough. Oops. Driver made a mistake there. So we've got one watcher. Now is that going to be an Israeli troll like usual? Is that going to be a real person? You know, anybody that ends up watching this video, the one thing I want you to pay attention to more than anything is the lack of naysayers. There should always be at least one or two people out here talking shit, and there never is. If that doesn't scream censorship, I don't know what does, but that's how me thinks it works. I'm actually going right now to go do some work for the Jewiest Jew I know, except for the fact that this dude actually is married to a black woman and has halfy kids, ugly halfy kids, but halfy kids nonetheless. Son and a daughter, and this dude's like 6'6" or some shit, 6'7". I don't know. He's a big guy, and he's got the ugliest face. And his poor kid is a halfie with the same face. It's tough. Oh, I don't know about you guys, but I sure hope Luca wins. That would be great. I don't really see it happening, but that would be great. Look at that, 2 people here. Holy shit. Maybe this will be one of those videos where I get a bunch of people, but then I gotta go because, you know, I'm gonna be at a place my driver's taking me to. I don't know how many of you guys have a driver. I have a driver. Yeah. You know, I'm just so proud to, like, I'm not afraid, you know? And to me, it's funny because it's like I watch so many different videos where they're talking about the conspiracy one, and it you know, they say they do this and they do that, and it ends up leaving it sort of open and you know, up for interpretation. Up for manipulation. Weird. But like in that and in that regard, it makes it less effective. You know, if you don't know who the bad guy is, then it's like that. If I was just talking, hey, where all these lines come from? These lines in the sky, these lines in the sky. Well, how are the lines getting there? You know, that's we should be talking about these important pieces of the puzzle, because otherwise it makes it incomplete. And that's you know, that's the whole thing here, is we have to be better than the well-oiled machine we're up against. Because the Israeli Jew machine is a well-oiled machine. They know exactly, you know, they know exactly what they're doing, and they work together. You know, there's no division amongst the group. There might be, you know, petty bullshit. But at the end of the day, they don't, you know, they're Jewish first before they're anything else. I've literally heard people refer to themselves as Jewish Americans. Like, what the fuck is that? One of my best friends growing up, I hadn't talked to him for a while, and we started talking again last summer. And you know, he's a pretty smart guy, and he's reasonably political, and he's a Navy veteran, and like, there's all this shit. So we get to talking, and like, I'm talking about the genocide happening in Palestine and all of that stuff. And his initial response is, well, my girlfriend is half Jewish. She's half Mexican and half Jewish. And I'm like, dude, that's not a thing. Jewish isn't a race. You can't be half Mexican and half Jewish. That's not a thing. Yeah, I'm half black and half Christian. Not how that works. But that's one of those, like, you know, double-sided dildo rules that it just isn't talked about enough. It isn't pointed out. The bullshit nature of things. But it's funny too how my friend and we don't talk anymore. We started talking again. We don't talk anymore because I'm the bad guy. I'm the one that opposes genocide, and that makes me the bad guy. I'm the one that doesn't, like, I don't accept Judaism. I don't condone it, tolerate. It's dumb to me. It's a negative poison. It's a cancer to our society, and it's like, I'm not gonna, well, my right breast just has the cancer in it, so I'm just gonna leave it there. It'll be fine. No, you got to get rid of that shit, or otherwise it's gonna spread. And they do that. They have, you know, especially the Hasidic ones, they have so many fucking children that they can't afford. So they're on the welfare and shit, and they live real good in their little world. There's an interview on this. There's a YouTube page called The Soft White Underbelly, and you may have heard of it because of his activism, I guess, with the inbred hillbilly family. I forget their name, but he did a lot of work to I think in his mind he was helping these hillbillies, but he was just enabling these hillbillies, you know. But he does this his channel is about interviewing all sorts of people, from all, you know, pimps, hookers, drug dealers, like regular people. You know, it's not going to be a bunch of actors, because those interviews are everywhere. But he interviews just everybody. You know, there's all sorts of interviews on there. And one of his interviews was about it was a woman who grew up in a Hasidic house. Ugh. I don't want to smell that. That was a dead animal fucking strewn across the ground. Must have been a dog or something. That shit was nasty. Jesus Christ. I cleaned up a dead squirrel today. There was a dead squirrel on my street, and my wife was like, I don't want the kids. There's all sorts of kids in the neighborhood. I don't want any of the little kids to see the squirrel. Can you clean it up? So I had to go pick this motherfucker up with the shovel, and its fucking eye was like popped out. It was so nasty. I had to do some real mind cleaning efforts to get that image out of my head, because I don't want it in my head. Hey, look, we got 3 people here. That's amazing. I hope all 3 of you hate Israel as much as I do. You're as opposed to Judaism as I am. What are you doing? Drive! Fucking idiots, man. God, I can't stand these people. Oh, old man. Oh, fresh grass getting cut. What was I talking about? I just, it's so strange to me, but telling, you know, the fact that I can't find opposition, I can't find, you know, people that disagree with me, and that I go live as much as I do, talking about as much controversial shit as I talk about, and the stuff that I talk about is now the #1 trending story in the world. Like, you know, I've been talking about this for years now, and it's been a lot more difficult. Why are you always focused on the Israel and the Jews? Why don't you talk about chemtrails more often and shit like that? and you know, and my response was, you know, I'm focused on the head of the monster. You want to talk about different tentacles like chemtrails and vaccines and all that? Yeah, those things are important, but I want to cut the head off the monster, not, you know, I want to fix all of the problems, not just the problem that you're focusing on right now. And you know, I would get shit for it sometimes. And now it's I mean, we're seeing such beautiful, a beautiful example of humanity when it comes to the students. The students at all these universities and colleges. I mean, this is as beautiful as it gets. This is as beautiful as I've ever seen it. I don't remember anything like this. Where we're standing up. The people are standing up to the tyranny that has negatively affected all of us for all of the time. I mean, anyone who wants to fix the world, this is where you have to start. Anything else is just distraction. It sounds weird to say it, but like talking about the pedophilia is just a distraction. Unless we're talking about who controls our system and allows for that shit to exist, we're just distracting people. We're getting them angry and worked up over something that needs to be talked about, but we're leading them in the wrong direction. Tartaria is the best one. I love the Tartaria stuff. I'm very into the Tartaria stuff. But I hesitate anymore strictly because I know it's a distraction. It's keeping people focused in a place where, you're not going to get through. It's keeping people focused in a place where we can't have the answers to. We can sit here and argue about shit all day long, but we can't answer the questions until we focus on Israel, until we focus on the Jews, the keepers of the information. Until we're really willing to talk about, overriding the system that controls us. What are we even talking about? We're talking about what they allow us to talk about, with whatever information they've allowed to leak out. Well, that's the mindset that people need to have. They need to understand that, yes, it's all distractions because we're not talking about the cause. Tartaria is probably the best one, just because it doesn't, like, the pedophile stuff is an absolute necessity. We need to expose that and eliminate that. But that's something that people are uncomfortable talking about. That's something that people have experienced, so it shuts them down. Like, there's a lot more to that. The Tartaria thing is actually all good. You start looking into the Tartaria stuff, and it's nothing but good feeling. You know that you're on the right path, and you know that you're talking about something that is absolutely true, and it's a conspiracy that's been hidden away from the public, and you get all of that reassurance that you're not crazy, you're right. This is exactly what it is, and it's the same bullshit all the time. And the Tartaria stuff is fascinating, and it's clearly true. Clearly. If you don't look at the world that we live in with questions, I don't know what the hell to tell you. I saw this little short today where the guy was talking about why all the old pictures have vanilla skies like they do. Why are all the skies whited out? And he brought up like the most obvious sort of duh thing, And it's because in all those pictures, the skies are full of airships and dirigibles and whatever you want to call them, blimps and airships and shit like that. And they don't want us to realize that back in the 1900s and prior, they were flying. They had been flying. We're supposed to believe the Wright brothers are this this fork in the road sort of moment where we went from being one thing to the next, and it's not really true. You know, you go look at the Wright brothers film, and the people there clearly didn't even care that much. They're looking and also they're not even watching what's happening. They're looking all around. Look at the people. And I've been doing this for a long time, where, you know, the thing I think you should focus on is not necessarily the subject of the film you're watching. I always encourage you guys to look in the background. Look at what's happening in the background of whatever scene you're looking at, especially when it comes to, you know, Nazi concentration camp sort of footage. That shit's all bullshit, and you just don't realize it. But if you just start watching the backgrounds of those videos, you'll see that the camp is empty. Well, where the fuck is everyone? This is supposed to be this concentration camp where millions of people were killed in these concentration camps. Blah 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 blah. And you know, other than the 50 people or the 20 people that you see in the foreground, nothing's happening. It's really fucking strange, man. Not strange, it's telling. It's telling. Pay attention to the details. When they show you the pictures of the people being released from the camps, they're not exuberant. They're not what you would imagine people being held captive against their will. How they would respond to being freed. And, oh, it's Stockholm Syndrome. Every single one of them? Every single one? All of them? All these incredibly skinny and emaciated people leaving the camps, just like the Israeli hostages that get released. They never show the signs, the physical signs of having been compromised, held captive against your will, and tortured, and it's never like that. Strange, man. Strange bunch of bullshit. I'll tell you what. But again, it's all about what you're willing to see. You know, it's not about what you want to see, it's what you're willing to see. You're going to be given a bunch of different information. And are you willing to see that information, you know, see everything that it's saying to you, or are you just going to pick and choose which pieces you like? I don't know, man. Actually, I think I do know, and I think I'm right. And the lack of naysayers and shit talkers, that's a dead giveaway that I must be right. I must be right about this shit. If I'm not right about this shit, why am I not getting put in my place? Why aren't my arguments getting smashed? And until you're, you know, you got to be smart. They're not going to tell you the truth. Like are you someone that's expecting, like when I talk about being censored, are you someone that is waiting for me to provide you with a signed paper from Joe Biden saying that they're censoring Guy Williams? Like, that's never going to happen. It's up to you. You have to look at the information you're given and make your decision. You know, this to me is all great big smoking gun. It's all just obvious. The Jewish control scheme, the Semitism, anti-Semitism, all of it. I understand why I don't have any naysayers, because what could they possibly fucking say? You know, truth gives you confidence, and when you're telling the truth, you know, what can oppose you? The only thing that can come opposing you is lies and bullshit, and that's easy to overcome. Anyway, I'm about to pull into my location, so you're just gonna have to come back when I come back, because you have to know you're watching truth. You can feel it. It's all. You're so much better and stronger and more intuitive and all that shit than you are willing to think, than they want you to think. Anyway, wow, this shit is crazy. Jesus. Driver. Good job, driver. All right. I can't believe I got to bounce on 4 people, man. I hope 4 people come back when I come back live. That'd be great. Anyway, fuck Israel. Fuck the Jews. It's time we start focusing on the truth instead of allowing ourselves to constantly be bullied into not talking about things. Because that's usually all it comes down to. Is it's this bully scenario where, you go see if you can debunk any of the claims. They don't ever debunk it. They just tell you you're not allowed to talk about it. That's all it ever is. They never back up Israel or anything that's said. They just say you Gentile, you Goyim, you're not allowed to talk about it. But that's the